Retire early, stay in Canada, and travel the world half the year. So a house, a motorhome, apartment,
A hut
Airbnb, hotel.
down by the beach. So Craig, we've been talking about that for a couple videos already. But there were some questions after the last video. Where do you live now?
So what we started off with first is we stayed in a motorhome. We had a small Class C, and then we stayed in that for a while. It was fun,
It was good for traveling.
and campground lifestyle is pretty fun until you get to the fall and winter, and the 5 o'clock at night it starts getting dark and it's
your
raining,
your outdoor living room is gone,
and it gets pretty tight pretty quick.
especially once COVID hits.
So at that point, we decided, let's rent an apartment.
Yeah, we came home, we landed back in Canada, in BC, during COVID, so there was no more traveling at that point, and we didn't know how long it was going to last, so we decided to take an apartment here.
And the apartment rent was almost the same cost as a campground rent by the month. It was really close.
At that time. That's part of the reason why we've decided to keep our apartment too, because we are definitely paying a better price now than we would coming into the rental market now.
So at that point, we figured out what we were doing for retirement, just like our last video was.
Yeah.
And we quickly figured out that we could rent this apartment year-round and travel the world for the other half of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And we could afford it all within our budget. So that's what we decided to do. We're keeping the apartment year-round. And then we started traveling all over the place.
That's right.
The benefit for that is you just lock the door and go.
That's
Somebody else takes care of everything, making sure the heat's on and they mow the grass.
Yeah, there's a place for you, just open the door and come in. You don't have to move stuff around. You're not at somebody else's house. You just come in and you're home, right? And when our kids are around, there's a place for them too. And so we realized at one point we thought we might give up an apartment after traveling a bit. And we realized that no, we like to have that home base. And if it's within our passive income budget, we're going to go for it. So we have.
Now remember, we call it home. Home does not have to be a house. Sometimes a house is just a place you buy.
That's right.
A home is a place where you live with your family. So we call our apartment our home.
That's right. And if we were to get back into a house, remember we came from Alberta, so housing markets in BC and Alberta are kind of like apples and very, very expensive, like kiwis or mangoes or something. So it's a very different market. So if we'd bought a house, we would have been back at work, had a great big mortgage, and not traveling and not living the life that we had intended.
But shh, I do miss a garage sometimes.
And shh, I miss him going to the garage sometimes.
So what do we do when we're traveling? Well, there was the motorhome, Airbnbs or hotels. Mm-hmm. So the motorhome, you're kind of constrained about how many places you can go to. So we sold it.
That's right. Yep.
Now with the Airbnbs and hotels, we can travel anywhere in the world that we want.
We've used Airbnb a lot in the last couple of years, and there's been some really great places. We've met some really, really nice people, and the hosts have been awesome.
Fantastic.
But we have had some experiences that were less than ideal, anyways.
So a couple of things we're not terribly pleased with Airbnb is all of the fees that they have, and now they're adding a new fee where they're doing another surcharge on top of foreign exchange. So that's, there's a little bit too many fees for us now.
Yeah, it really adds up.
When you travel to some of these places in other countries, the safety standards and security standards are not what we expect sometimes. So it's a little bit different for us.
It really depends on too, whether you're wanting a kitchen. If you're staying somewhere long term, it's nice to have the kitchens like in the Airbnbs, but some of the places we go, we're either not staying that long, or it's cheap enough to eat out that we just do that instead of buying groceries. So we won't be needing an Airbnb probably in the next traveling we do.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that kind of turns me off about Airbnb is the way that you rate the places, because we always look at the descriptions from other travelers when we pick a place. But we found out over our travels now that not only do you rate the place after you're finished, but the owners rate you also.
Yeah, there's a time lapse.
Yeah.
So you're rating without seeing what the other person says, but still, you know they're going to rate you.
So once you figure that out, typically a lot of people do not give a bad rating because they don't want a bad rating because it affects their options going forward. It kind of reminds me of that Netflix series Black Mirror, that's it. And there was this one episode called Nosedive where everybody rates everybody for everything, and it becomes such a bizarre worldly experience about how false everybody gets.
Yeah.
And it kind of reminds me of that because a lot of the places we're reading the descriptions and we get there, we were kind of disappointed.
It's not as bad as Uber rating each other though. Just saying.
So I think back to hotels we go. On
Yeah.
our next trip, that's what I think you'll find us in.
We're going to experiment a little bit with going back to hotels, having that breakfast provided every morning because that cuts out a meal. And then off we go. So we're going to check it out and see.
Okay, so we'll catch up on the next video where we're going to let you in on what's up with the next season.
Time to get back to some travel videos, Craig.
Or maybe not. Okay, see you on the next video.
Bye.
Well, hello, and welcome to Season 8 of Moto Travels.